Hi, Travis.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing very well. Give me just 1 second here.
Sure.
Okay, very nice.
I am super excited to be chatting with you. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for requesting to do this. This is great.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, I'm a nutritionist and I always recommend mushrooms. It's something that I have been passionate about since I was a kid. I actually grew up with a family of mushroom foragers. So I have always been into mushrooms, recommend them a lot in my practice, and know a lot about the health benefits of them, but I haven't used them a lot as tinctures. So you are a chiropractor
Hmm.
and you have this line of mushroom, do you call them extracts, right?
Mushroom extracts, that's
I
right.
have one of them here with me, so it looks like this. Best Health Company is your company. And I'm really curious. You sent a bunch of samples to me, and I started using them. And then I thought, you know what? I really want to learn more about how to use them. The benefit of using them in extract form. And so I thought we'd do this. So I am happy to have you here, and would love for you to maybe just share a little bit about yourself and what brought you to making these extracts and how you came to it from being a chiropractor to creating Best Health Co. And just tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. So I've worked professionally as a chiropractor for 13 years, and last summer I was able to transition fully into Best Health Co. and build that out to where it has gotten to at this point today. So right now we have 7 different mushroom extracts. Um, in our transition from Minneapolis to Seattle, we were able to go full time in the marketing and working to bring these to the forefront, which has been tremendous. When I was practicing and working with patients from a health and wellness standpoint, not just focusing on the structure and helping with pain and physical ailments, but my true passion with that also was helping them from a metabolic, biochemical aspect, helping them with habits from a day-to-day life. As you know, with physical pain, there's a lot of habits that can contribute to inflammation in the body, um, from helping them start a yoga practice to working with physical therapists to bring it around for a holistic type of perspective. And in working with patients with different isolated nutrients and different vitamins and supplements, there's a lot that you can do from a nutrient efficiency capacity, and everybody needs a baseline wonderful diet and a health and wellness regimen at home. One of the things that drew me to the mushroom extracts, a couple years ago, I was flying out to an Eastern Oregon wellness conference that we go to every February. And I was listening to a podcast from a mushroom producer up in Canada. And it started to get me thinking about medicinal mushrooms. And I hadn't heard a lot about them prior to that. And this is in 2019. And after listening to that, diving into research about them, and I just became fascinated with the world of functional mushrooms, even culinary mushrooms, and what you can do in the kitchen. Um, so I'm excited to be at this point.
Yeah. Um, that's incredible that you've been able to do that and transition into that. And so tell me a little bit about, mushrooms have definitely gained popularity in terms of being used in supplement form. We see them added to all kinds of things. Like just this morning, I had my little like faux coffee thing that's full of mushrooms, and I feel like they're just kind of the maybe new superfood. They are definitely like very popular in the marketplace right now. So I'd love to hear just from you, like why mushrooms? Why are they the next superfood? Is this, a fad? Like what's so great about them to be taken in more of this supplement form?
Absolutely, mushrooms are definitely on the trend, up and up. When I start to have family members ask about them, you know, independent of Best Health Co. That's a pretty amazing type of experience. You definitely know that they're reaching different parts of the country for sure.
Hmm.
Um, Prior to chiropractic, I taught hot yoga as I was going to chiropractic school, and I compare the two very similarly. As yoga took over the United States from Eastern traditions, other things are starting to follow that, and functional mushrooms are one of those things that are very similar in that capacity. Now, in the adaptogen and the superfood category, medicinal mushrooms offer a lot of benefit in terms of their ease of use, and there's a lot of information out there. With creating a supplement, creating an extract, we get to benefit from different research that's been done about these. And since they've been used in traditional Chinese medicine for centuries, you get to benefit from some of that research that is out there. So one could type in, reishi benefits, for instance, and come up with a variety of research articles that can be a little bit difficult to, sift through, but you can see a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the quality of the different products on the market, there's a variety of ways to produce these, and they're made, many, many, many different ways. The majority so you've got different aspects of the mushroom growing cycle that are used in the production of these tinctures. So you have the spore, which is kind of the seed that will spread the mushrooms, right? You've got the root system, which is called the mycelium, and then you've got the fruit body. Now there's some other components in there, but those are the three main ones that are used in the production. The fruit body is what you'd think when you go to the grocery store and buy like a button mushroom. It's the part that's sticking out of the ground. It's the part that in your mind you would, picture when you think of a mushroom.
Yeah.
The mushroom mycelium is where some of the quality can be of concern. The mushroom mycelium, the root system, can be grown in a lab. You can control all the factors in there, but the growing medium typically is grain for the mycelium. So therefore, if you're a gluten intolerant, someone that has gluten sensitivity, that product would not be ideal for you because there's still some grain fibers that would continue through to the final product. And those will taste like a grain tea, actually. What you want from your mushroom products is you want kind of a bitter, kind of a strong flavor that lets you know that there's the bitterness, the terpenes, those things are included in the tincture. And that's really what you want from the mushroom product, is the beta-glucans, any triterpenes, diterpenes that can follow through. And different mushrooms specialize. They have different things to offer from a bioactive perspective.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about the sourcing of the mushrooms that you use for your tinctures.
Absolutely. So the majority of so we'll start off with how most companies do it. The majority of companies get their mushrooms, especially the fruit body style of powders, they're grown in China. Most of those are grown in China. And the reason why that happens is partly because of the experience and the centuries of that mushroom cultivation there. Now, the issue with some of the products coming from China, not talking about the heavy metal capacity, but more so just the inefficiency of shipping something across the ocean can create difficulties with, carbon emissions and environmental impact that we wanted to try to stay away from. Focusing on local farmers producing the mushrooms was a big thing when sourcing our materials. And we feel that, the consumer is looking for something like that. We wanted to find a sustainable, ethically produced product to make sure that the farmers are getting paid what they're supposed to for their crop, for the mushroom products. Mm-hmm. Whereas we can't guarantee that happens when they're produced in other countries. Often there's an intermediary in there that will be taking the majority of the payment, and you don't really know how far down the line people are getting paid. So that was a big part of it. Yeah. Another thing from an environmental perspective with mushrooms, and just talking about them as a crop in general, they are one of the most sustainable crops that can be grown. They require very little water. 1 gallon of water can produce, 2 gallons of water can produce around a pound of button mushrooms, which is really pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And the way shiitake grows, there's a variety of ways these mushrooms will grow, but typically they grow off of hardwoods. So a fallen tree in a forest will start to sprout some mushrooms based on the spores that were implanted there. So you can have a variety of logs that have been set up with shiitake stacked on top of each other, the size of a pallet, that can produce a tremendous amount of poundage of mushrooms. So it's a cost-effective way of agriculture. It helps with preventing deforestation because they really don't take up that much space.
That's great. So are they mostly then farmed versus wild?
They're both. They're farmed and cultivated.
Okay.
They're farmed and foraged. We get them from farmers outside the Bay Area, up through mm-hmm. Oregon, and up through Bellingham, Washington. Mm-hmm. The chaga comes from the Midwest. So the chaga is a cold weather mushroom. It grows on birch trees primarily. Those just aren't native out in the Pacific Northwest, but they do, mm-hmm. all the mushrooms are from North America.
Okay. And with so it sounds like, I mean, sustainability wise, because they use little water, they can be grown in small spaces, like that's all great, right? What about um, I know that mushrooms play such an important role in the earth and in the ecosystem. So is there a benefit to the earth to, like using mushrooms? Are we, in this new popularity of mushrooms, are we taking something away? Like, how do we protect that? Or does it help it? What does us using mushrooms and making them, in a bigger way, how does it affect the earth?
Mushrooms are Earth's natural composters. So what they will do with a tree that has fallen in the forest, one of the reasons why they sprout up there is they will decompose that tree. They will take what they need from it. Mushrooms' beneficial compounds come from their desire to sustain their own life. So they'll produce the triterpenes, the diterpenes, the beta-glucans as a self-defense mechanism against other predators, against other types of bacteria trying to infect them. And that's why some of them will produce antibiotic effects. It's part of that survival mechanism. So there's different mushrooms that there's a movement called micro-remediation where they talk about going into landfills, using certain mushrooms to digest non-biodegradable plastics. Obviously, we're not using mushrooms like that, but those are pretty amazing from an environmental perspective.
Yeah.
There's mushrooms that will digest diesel fuel spills. I mean, it's pretty remarkable what they can do. But from a breakdown perspective, it doesn't get much better than the mycelium, natural mycelium in a root system that's within that tree. The accelerant for decomposing is pretty amazing.
So us taking them out, using them, they're prolific. Like it's easy for them to reproduce and to keep going and doing that job that they do.
Absolutely, and there's certain mushrooms in the Pacific Northwest that you don't want to do that to. There are certain ones that only grow in certain conditions, and you want to leave those alone. Of all the mushrooms that we use, those are ones that are easily to reproduce. Either they're farmed or they're cultivated in abundance. And there are some that only exist in this side of the Rocky Mountains. On the other side of the Rocky Mountains, it's a much different experience with that type of mushroom. And one of those is the Oregon reishi, the Ganoderma oregonense. Grows on western hemlock in this part of the country. So that's kind of a uniqueness to the Pacific Northwest that we're excited to have in our reishi extract.
And I know that there aren't, I mean, a lot of terms have become the way we market things, or terms that we look for have become watered down or even meaningless in some cases. But for mushrooms, there isn't, other than, I don't know if organic is even a thing, maybe with farming, if that's it. Like, how can a consumer, what should you be looking for as a mushroom consumer to make sure that you're getting a quality mushroom, that you're supporting good practices around mushroom foraging or growing?
Absolutely. So from organic certification perspective, the farm would have to be certified organic. And with a lot of these farms, they're young in their age of production. Organic certification, is big upfront cost. Now, many of them are working towards that, but at this time, they don't have it, but yet are using the methods that would qualify them for organic certification. So we don't have, organic certified products, but they are produced in methods without pesticides, without herbicides, in their production. Wild grown mushrooms, they're going to be, like you're going for a hike. It doesn't get much more pristine with oxygen saturation in some of those rainforests, and that's kind of the growing conditions naturally that mushrooms like.
So is it kind of like, would you suggest looking for mushrooms that are grown in North America, wild foraged or organically grown? Would those be the...
Absolutely. So we're partial to our mushrooms grown in North America, right? There's not many products on the market that use mushrooms grown in North America because it is more expensive. So therefore it creates a premium end product. A lot of the products use mushrooms grown in China. Ones that are affordable, and if you dig into the website, it's gonna say grown in the highlands of China. 90% of the mushroom products out there are that capacity. 90% of the chaga products are grown in Russia, Siberia, kind of the cold weather regions of Northern Europe. There are some that are producing chaga in the northern Midwest, which is great. But I like the local stuff. You know, I grew up as a farm kid in northern Iowa, and anytime you can support people close to you and around you, that's what it's all about. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. It helps create biodiversity of our land and support our local economy. It's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your lineup. I have my little bowl of them here, and kind of, just what you have, what you offer. And it looks like you had like a powder or something you've added to the lineup. So
Yep.
just
So
a little bit about your
the
product.
powders were the first. The powders were the first
Oh,
product that we launched with. So
okay.
this is so in July is 1 year online. The company has existed for 2 years. The first year was, you know, the branding, the build out, the sourcing, you know, trying to get this thing honed in. Powders were the initial come to market, test the concept that we had, and then we transitioned quickly over to these tinctures because we found a superior way to do that. But I'll start with the lineup, and now we've moved fully onto to the tinctures. The powders are sold out and won't really become a bag unless we can start to make them from this process, and then we will do that going forward. But I'll start going down the line. I've got the bottles up here. So here we have our chaga extract. This is the 2 ounce. We've got 2 different sizes on the website. We've got the 1 ounce and the 2 ounce. 30 milliliters in the 1 ounce. It's around 30 doses, about a month's supply. The 2 ounce is a 60 milliliter bottle, roughly around 60 days. In the chaga is just a straight up chaga. There's no blend with this one. And I'll get you a little bit to show you what you want to see with mushroom extracts. There's a variety of quality out there with what the liquid looks like. As you can see from this chaga, it's very dark, right? That's what you're looking for. Okay. When you see something, especially like a chaga, it's a very dark and rich mushroom. When it looks very light in color or blonde, that's typically a mycelium grown or root system. And the best example in society that people would have from what mycelium looks like is think of tempeh in the grocery store. That's a soybean-based fermentation that creates this patty. And all that white stuff in between there is kind of the mycelium that's grown through the soybean. Well, mushrooms can be grown similarly on soybeans, sometimes sorghum or different types of grain. And that product is ground up, put into a tincture, and sold that way. So that's what some on the market are like. And then moving down the line, we've got cordyceps. This one's a Cordyceps militaris. A lot of the information online is Cordyceps sinensis. That is primarily found in Tibet, in Nepal area. That one is an issue with different types of insects that can be harmed in the harvesting of that one. Cordyceps militaris is something that is grown typically in a lab setting. And ours are grown in batches with a controlled environment here in the Pacific Northwest. But militaris is a much more sustainable production than sinensis. Sinensis is also an extremely expensive product. Let's see here. I'll show you a little bit of what the cordyceps looks like. These are all just kind of naturally occurring colors. All of the, the bioactives that come through the end of the tincture. See, it's a little bit lighter. If you look at the cordyceps fruit body, it looks very similar in color to this. And then I'll kind of talk about how we have them branded. So let's go back to the chaga. So the chaga is kind of our recovery, our rest and recovery mushroom. So this one is supportive of healthy digestion. Think wellness to the rest and recover components to our bodies, right? There can also be an energetic balancing to these mushrooms that can be similar to balancing out of chakras or different type of energy systems that one might think. Reishi has a component to the heart chakra. Lion's mane would have a component to the third eye, the brain, things of that nature. Okay, so moving down here, let's see. Let's jump into reishi. So reishi is probably one of the most well-known medicinal mushrooms. It's been used the longest. It has, I wouldn't say it has the most research, but it definitely is one of those that people will have or offer. This one is unique. We have 3 different types of reishis in this product. So there's Ganoderma lucidum, which is red reishi. That's the typical one that is used, the genus and species. The next one that's in here is Ganoderma applanatum, which is the artist conch, and then Ganoderma organens. So we have a variety of different reishis that we can add that add their own bioactive components, which make this a well-rounded tincture. So reishi is a calm, supportive of stress, If you feel overwhelmed, reishi is the one I reach to in situations like that.
Mm-hmm.
Going down the line here, let me get a little sip. Okay, and let's jump into take. So take is our maitake and shiitake mushroom combination. Maitake and shiitake mushrooms can both be used as culinary mushrooms, so they're great to cook with. Shiitake adds, a great complement, like if you're, cooking some meat, it offsets some nitrosamine production, similar to what rosemary would do. But that one is more supportive of the circulatory system, supportive of any type of inflammation that can happen in any of the liquids of the body, essentially. Lion's mane here, we coined this one, love your brain with lion's mane. Lion's mane is a cognitive support, so this helps with brain health, brain wellness, memory, recall. You want things to be flowing nicely. If you have a productive morning, lion's mane is what I go to for that. Tiaga is one that's native to North America and was used by the native peoples here as for a myriad of things. But this is a very unique one that you don't typically find in the population of searching online. The name for this one is the red-belted polypore. I took the name Tiaga as what it was referenced a long time ago, but now it's more red-belted conch, red-belted polypore, and it's abundant in Pacific Northwest rainforest. You'll see these out there walking and hiking, and you can see pictures of all these mushrooms on the website. We've got in our mushroom lab section, I try to walk through each one, and we're currently still building that out. Tiaga is supportive of chaga in the sense that it helps with the digestive system. It helps with wellness for, anytime you might feel like you've eaten too much food and you've overwhelmed your system, Tiaga can help to calm those energies down. And then last but not least, we have turkey tail. So turkey tail is a fun one for if you need a little extra boost in the fortify department, in the immune support. Turkey tail is the one you go to for that. All medicinal mushrooms, all functional mushrooms have kind of an anti-inflammatory tilt to them and antioxidant support, but they really have multi-system kind of effects.
Mm-hmm. So, and how do you recommend taking them? Because I know you mentioned, all these different ways you could take them for different reasons. Do you take, for you yourself, do you take a blend of them in the morning, or do you take them kind of as needed? Like you want to calm down at night, so you take a little reishi, or you feel like you said, you overate, so you take, which one was it that you said for digestion?
Yeah, the Tiaga.
The Tiaga. Tell us a little bit about how you would recommend using them.
Absolutely. So my favorite blend is I like to pick about 3 of them, and I add them to coffee in the morning, or I'm doing a before bed type of calm down at night turmeric latte, turmeric golden milk latte type of thing. Reishi, some of it depends on what you're looking for. So reishi is a great just general overall wellness, body support, but it's also a calm and stress type of mushroom. So that one's nice to kind of simmer down and chill out at night. Lion's mane can have a component of that as well to help the mind detox, help the brain detox at night while you're sleeping. Lion's mane can also be used in the morning to help with productivity and flow. None of these are stimulating though. With cordyceps, cordyceps is kind of our energy and vitality mushroom, but it's a non-stimulating type of energy. Think of if you took 15 to 20 deep breaths, kind of the awakeness that you experience with that. That's kind of what a cordyceps would do. If you've had a long weekend of hiking or out on the boat, water skiing, things of that nature, there's a healing and recovery blend that I like to do, which is chaga, tiaga, and then take. It's just very calming down to the system. And we have a lot of these collections organized on the website too, that you can go to. A lot of with information production with the mushrooms is, where do you start? Where do you begin? Because there's 7 of them, right? Do I take all 7? Do I take 1? What do I do? I find that reishi is a great place to start. Reishi is a great place to start just because it's a very popular mushroom. It's one of those, there's a ton of information out there. You always want to start off less is more, right? So you don't want to take these if you're allergic to mushrooms. Obviously, that can stimulate an allergy. Mushrooms are, and that goes for any product, honestly. You want to start slow. Sometimes you can have strong effects in the beginning. Other times it takes a little while. If you're someone that considers themselves to be more intuitive, more kind of aware when you put something in your body, you're probably going to notice these a little bit sooner than someone that might be a little bit disconnected. But the effects of the mushrooms, depending on what you're looking for, you can notice them immediately. Sometimes it's a few weeks. But as with anything, creating a healthy habit is best done on a daily basis going forward. And that can be up to a few months even at longest. But it typically is pretty quick.
So some people see an effect from taking them right away, and some people you would suggest that maybe they need a little bit of an additive effect before they recognize the difference.
Yeah, and one of the ones that you typically will notice initially is cordyceps. Cordyceps is with the awaken, the energy vitality component of it. That one can be pretty known pretty quick. A lot of the research around cordyceps is with athletes trying to improve their VO2 max and endurance capabilities with cordyceps. That's not something we marketed for, but it is a component of things that they look at that way. Let's see here. With reishi can, with the calmness of reishi, that one is one that I've had communicated back to me and experienced myself that can be pretty quick also. Turkey tail is the one that some people will say they don't notice much with. And turkey tail does a really good job at making sure your immune system is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So think of it as kind of the great balancer, right? It's not stimulating to the immune system. It's not necessarily depressing, but if you've got something out of whack, it can kind of bring it back to balance. We also don't necessarily create a feeling with our immune systems working well.
Right.
Sometimes it's, gosh, I haven't gotten sick in a long time. But that isn't necessarily a sign that things are going the way that they're supposed to too. You just want your body processing, when you get exposed to colds or flus properly. And sometimes that's symptoms and sometimes that's not. So it really depends on what you're looking for with the mushrooms. But if you want, a dramatic effect, typically they're not going to create dramatic effects. But if you're paying attention to wellness, you're paying attention to, you want something next level to help support your wellness, I can't really find a product on the market that takes it to this level when it comes to the medicinal mushroom category.
So in terms of where to start, you suggest reishi is a really easy one to start with, but you have blends on your website where you can look at maybe what might be a good fit. Maybe you get a couple and have them on hand, and maybe you just have, you suggest 2 or 3 that you could just add to your morning drink of choice and start building in that way.
Yeah, 2 to 3. We have a variety of pricing structures on the website, and then also attached to this live broadcast here is a discount for any of the listeners. So where you find that discount is in the link of the Nourish and Be Instagram, right? And then you can that gets you 15% off. And that intent there is to try a few different ones. 2 to 3 is a great number to just try reishi one day or whichever one you pick, and you read through some of the descriptions. You'll find one that resonates. And go with the ones that you feel that resonate and give it a shot, and and just kind of go from there.
Cool. Well, I am so excited to have these and to be trying them, and to be your generous offer to have a discount for people that visit Nourish and Be. That's in the link tree through Instagram. And it's always really important to me when I recommend any kind of supplementation that it's coming from a quality source. So to know the maker and to understand, how conscientious you are about creating this product, that is just really wonderful to be able to offer to people. So thank you so much for sharing info. And anybody that's live, if you have any questions, this is a good time to catch Travis and ask him. Some excitement to try the lion's mane. Somebody said they love having it in the morning.
That's one of my favorite customers right there.
Oh, is it? Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, Travis. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to learning more and sharing more and continuing to try these out.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.